Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me? I think Ryan might be frozen a little bit. Ryan's frozen in time. There you are.
There we go. Now I can hear you. I just got home. Let's close this up. Made it just in time. Just got down the rules meeting, man.
No worries. We all know how life can be a little hectic and time crunching, that's for sure.
It's always something.
Yeah, ain't that true?
All right, I think we're good now.
All right, cool. All right, so I guess we can start off if you just kind of want to talk about yourself, a little bit about yourself, what you do, why you do it.
I've been a fishing captain now here on the Winnebago system, Green Bay, for the last going on 15 years here. So I like getting out, teaching people new things, whether they're looking to kind of learn a new technique or they're just looking to get out and catch some fish. Bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, corporate events, you name it. Always have a good time on the water. Also, other thing too is I always get something out of it as well, and a lot of times make a lot of good friends. And I also learn something along the way too. So enjoy it, and we'll continue. I'm a full-time guiding now.
Nice.
Those lights are horrible.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. All right. So, where are you? Where are you based out of? Are you based out of specifically Lake Winnebago, or do you kind of go out around the areas of other lakes?
I am normally Winnebago, the Bay of Green Bay system. Do some small charters out on Lake Michigan as well. Walleye mainly, but also dab into the perch, the bass, and the muskie as well. But mainly walleye, but also avid tournament fisherman. I've been fishing tournaments, man, since I've been, I think, 11 or 12 years old. We used to fish down in Kimberly for a paper fest, kids fishing tournament they did, and they still do it. So we've been doing that for quite some time. But that's kind of where I got started and haven't stopped.
Haven't stopped. Yeah.
I actually just got home from a rules meeting. We were actually down in Oshkosh, the MWC's in town. So last minute decision to sign up and jumped in. So Nikki and I are gonna fish it and hopefully have some good luck. Hopefully the luck continues.
How do you feel about this upcoming tournament? Do you feel pretty positive, or do you have some concerns?
I'm excited. It's Bago. I like fishing Bago. I like when it's tough. There's a lot of little fish in the system right now. There's a lot of nice fish in the system as well too. Biggest thing we've had is, I mean, as you know, the weather we've had the last couple days. I mean, we've gotten dumped on with 3 inches of rain, so the rivers are flowing. The water, I mean, I was up on Poigan today checking stuff out, and the water up there is, I mean, it's chocolate milk to where I did more drive around just graphing, really not much fishing, just because I didn't like the way that it looked. But I mean, also with all that comes colder water temps. That, I mean, we were back up into 72s like a week ago, and now we're back down like 64. So it's kind of crawling back up, kind of the way our spring started out as well. With the fishing was really good. Things got hot right away, and then we finally got a little bit of taste of winter or whatnot, and that kind of prolonged our walleye season or our spring bite. Got it back on track to where it was. So kind of the biggest thing there.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you how that kind of affected your season so far, of how it just kind of delayed or excelled things with how this winter we had was. So
It's Dakota, can you close that door, please? Thank you. Yeah, it's we dealt with it starting in December with Vince and I and Josh when we're running perch trips on the Mississippi for airboats. Our season was late getting going just because we didn't have the temperatures that we normally do. So we didn't have safe ice. We were able to get people out. So we kept postponing. It was really frustrating on that end of the stick. But then all of a sudden when we did have ice, it was way too cold. So from there, we tried getting guys out, and it was just miserable. I mean, we're talking minus temps, just normal temperature without the wind chill. You're riding an airboat out there. We're trying to set hubs up. Fishing's not good. I mean, it was miserable. So we lost a week there with that. Finally, we had good ice conditions, and fishing was actually turning back on. And then it got so warm that we lost all the ice we had, where it wasn't safe for us to get our airboats back in there. So that kind of was how our ice season went. To go with your question as far as how our spring went, because it was like right away, like boom, like everyone's out in their boats, everyone's fishing, and ice is melting. Guys are fishing in areas on the Bay of Green Bay that they're normally not in that time of year, just because you can't get to it because of ice. And then next thing you know, Mother Nature came back along and reminded everybody, hey, it's wintertime. Then we had all that miserable weather. We got cold temps again. We had things freezing back up. Not that it was safe for us to travel out on airboats or run any ice trips, but it just made things a lot more miserable and kind of got things back on track a little bit, shall you say. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff we're getting right now, or we just went through, I mean, that stuff we should have got probably back in April or whatnot, where now it's like, oh, hey, the spawn's over. The walleyes are all out. Now the water's high. So would have been cool. We got that a little bit earlier, but I think we had enough to have a good spawn and whatnot. The fish went all the way up to the Shawano Dam and spawned in different tributaries than they normally do. So no, it was good. And just like anything, I mean, anytime there's a tournament, and always ask any tournament fishermen out there, when there's a week of a derby, it always seems like you're watching the weather, you're watching the forecast, and you're really trying to tune in on it. To where tomorrow, we've got some spots we're looking forward to going and hitting. We're kind of let the wind just tell us where to go and what to do, and we'll make the adjustments while we're out there. Because today was more or less just kind of eliminating water, to where now I won't have that in the back of my head, like, hey, we should run over there and check that. Because no,
it's just another X crossed off. So
yes, so today was definitely a successful day in that aspect.
Good. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that was my ongoing worry, I guess you want to call it, is just how this weird spring winter that we've had just kind of delayed or pushed things forward, because how everything spawns and all that sort of stuff. So it was just it was an intriguing question for you to answer. So yeah, thanks.
It kind of seems like the Bay of Green Bay might be a little bit ahead, because right now they're already dealing with the alewife stuff there. Kind of like Winnebago, where we get the lake fly hatch, and fishing does get tough when we have that hatch. Right now we've got a tough bite on the Bay of Green Bay, where you don't see a lot of guys up there posting pictures just because there's so much bait in there right now. It's so hard to compete with. So normally June is really tough fishing up there. Normally a lot of guides do come down to Winnebago, dabble in it, just because it's easy to catch some fish, and guys want to catch fish and see results at the same time. So I do all my trips down here, and that's where I've been fishing. So
nice. All right. So what things do you tend to look for fishing wise that makes you more successful than, like, say, the average Joe that has no idea anything about the lake?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to just time on the water. I've been fishing the Winnebago system, the Bay of Green Bay. I mean, I've been fishing this forever, just kind of what I do. So I've got a lot of bad habits. I've got a lot of good habits. I'm open to learning and trying to do new things. I mean, the biggest thing now is kind of the whole forward-facing sonar. That's kind of opening up doors as far as seeing where fish are, how fish lay, how fish react in different areas, and also kind of as I was talking about earlier with just the water that we've got lately and whatnot, to where um, the water being up to where we're getting back into areas that we weren't able to before. Or, that
Right.
3 foot hump where those fish used to sit on. Well, now that's a 5 foot hump, and those fish aren't on that one. Now you got to go find a new 3 foot hump, or why were they on that hump, or what put them there. So that's really helped a lot. Also, tournament fishing. Tournament fishing's helped a lot. Just as, I've taken a lot of time off to get out there, learn how to catch these fish, where to catch them, and not even the success when you've done good that has been like where I've learned the most. It's actually been after a humbling tournament where I don't do good, where you hear that guys caught him over in the weeds, or guys caught him here, guys did this. One day I'm back out there trying to figure out and learn where I went wrong, what did I miss, just trying to improve and become a better fisherman. So those are the things that I've always kind of put in my memory bank and my log. So that way, when it does come to June, where are the fish this time of year? What are we looking for? What are water temps? Last time the wind blew this way. Those are all things that I've got a lot of time on the water to, am I always right when that happens? No, but more times than not, it ends up good. Or even I learn stuff from that day to when they're not there. You go somewhere else or you try something, and you stumble on something. It doesn't always work that way, but when it does, it's like, oh, like today I learned something new. I caught a fish in a spot I've never caught fish before, doing something that I like doing on Winnebago that I don't do a lot of on Poigan. I'll even tell you, I was pitching coontail on Poigan, so I didn't know it was even there, or in years past it's growing up a lot more since I've been in there. So I seen it and I'm like, this looks good. And my second cast I caught a nice, 20-inch walleye. And
Nice.
all right, well, hey, I spent like 3 hours in there picking it apart. I never caught another one. I think a lot of it's because the water's dirty and it's just not right. But that's going to be something I'm going to go back to. I'm going to look at that area, and I want to spend more time in there, I think, once the water gets back to its normal color. But
So with this tournament that you're entering in this weekend, is that just strictly Lake Winnebago, or is that also Poigan involved in that as well?
That's a good question. Wherever you can get your boat, basically. So locks are closed, so we can't lock down to Little Lake Beatamore. But anywhere your boat can fish, as long I know there's no fish refuges or whatnot, but wherever you can float, you can go. I'm feeling that most of the guys are probably going to be out on Lake Winnebago. I believe there's close to 80 teams in this one. I was actually surprised with how low that is. With the payouts they've got, they've got a really nice purse for first place, so it's drawing a lot of really good. The best of the fishermen I've seen tonight or that are on Winnebago or at that rules meeting tonight. So there's a bunch of hammers in this tournament. But the other thing is too, there's also a lot of great clubs that are having their tournaments that kicks off the year. So like Van Dyne's got theirs, Stockbridge has theirs. So that right there, that took, I believe, 250, 300 boats away from fishing this, just because guys are so committed. And those clubs do such a good job that there's actually waiting lists for people to get on or get into those tournaments. So guys don't want to lose their spot. So there was some guys actually at the club or at the rules meeting tonight that were in the Van Dyne tournament that they're not even fishing that because they just want to get it. There's more money in it. So, but no, it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. I think with kind of like as my fishing report said throughout the week, there's guys that are catching fish in the mud. If those mud fish do fire up, I talked to Tom tonight. Tom's one of my good buddies. Tom, Mike Moss, Joe. Those guys are hammers when it comes to fishing in the mud. And if those fish turn on, those guys are going to get them, and they're going to have one heck of a bag. I guarantee it. Yeah. But they got to turn on.
Right. I used to fish Winnebago way back in the day when I grew up in the Sheboygan County area by Plymouth. So I got to get out there every once in a while, but I didn't hit it up as much as I'd like to. I'd always be like kind of intimidated by the Lake Winnebago just because of how it could turn so quickly on you. I just never had the gear or the confidence to hit out there and do it. But now that I've been living in Appleton for the past 4 years, I've been trying to hit it up a lot more and trying to get a lot more knowledge about it. And it's very intriguing to me now. I don't know if I'm just older and I just don't care crap anymore. I just want to learn more. But no, it's rather interesting how this whole system kind of works together. It's just really intriguing for me to figure and learn all this stuff out.
I get a lot of trips from people that are new to the area that have cabins on the area. They just want to get out and they struggle. And what I always tell people when it comes to Lake Winnebago, I told the guys from H2H that we fished against yesterday. They're newer fishermen, they're younger fishermen. They're learning a lot. They're great sticks. These guys are gonna be just fine, but they said they're not comfortable. They don't know where to go or what to do down here. And honestly, Lake Winnebago is just one of those lakes that it's what you've always been taught to do growing up is you want to fish the wind-blown structures. I mean, that's my style of fishing. I like to scratch rocks. I look for those points where those fish are going to be, and I work there, and I go whatever way the wind blows. Keep it simple. You don't have to have tons of tackle and everything. It worked great yesterday. I mean, you can tune onto our H2H event yesterday. I mean, I used a jig and a crawler, and we were catching fish after fish after fish, especially the end. The bite turned on, and I mean, it was every cast we were catching one or missing one. To where, once you locate where these fish are, they're going to eat. That's just what walleyes do. You're either going to annoy them enough to where they're going to eat it just because they're annoyed, or walleyes they eat anything. So. Keep it simple for anyone out there wanting to dabble on Winnebago. The other thing, you hear about is how choppy you can get and how bad it is out there as far as the waves go. I mean, it's no different than Erie or the Bay of Green Bay or anywhere else. I mean, you get a lot of nice days out there. Sometimes you do have to pick the weather or pick your day as far as based on the weather. But, there's a lot of actual, islands out there, and there's plenty of boat landings that you can actually, get out and get on the water and be safe as well too. But
yeah,
don't let it intimidate you, because once you catch that one walleye and that one spot or that hump, we were catching fish yesterday. It was actually kind of where I grew up fishing back when I had my first boat and I was on the lake, from a buddy and his dad that kind of showed us where to go and what to do. It's always been one of my favorites, and it was just fun whacking on them yesterday there. So
yeah, it's always nice to kind of go back to your old stomping grounds and see that it's still proven to be a good.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel when I head back, like the old lakes I used to grow up on. I grew up on a lake actually, and the same thing. Like anytime, like I'm in a slump and I haven't caught crap for a while, like I know where to go. I know where I can feel comfortable. I know what tackle to use. You know what I mean? I don't have to like overthink it and make it too complex for my brain, because that I think that's a tendency as us guys to like make things more complicated than it has to be, especially when it comes to like hunting or fishing, especially. It's like, well, just go back to the basics, because the basics been proven to be successful for years and years and years.
Well, the other problem we have too is we have all the technology, all the streaming, these smartphones, and all of us dumb people that, all these green screens and everything that people are watching that, you watch guys shoot these giant whitetails. You watch people, flip bats certain ways. Like, man, how does that guy do that? Little do they know, someone's behind the scenes doing it for them. Right. You gotta think out, you gotta think for yourself and think, is that actually really happening or whatnot? And that's kind of where it goes back to, just not having a good tournament, or even hearing something about a tournament. It's like, did someone really do that, or how are they doing that? You get out and you play with it, you try it, and you know what? You're probably not going to be as good as the next person. I'm going to use like Max Wilson and like John Hoyer. These guys that are extremely well at using forward-facing sonar and chasing fish down and stuff like that. I've got a Garmin on the front of my boat all set up. Why can't I go out there and cast certain baits that these guys just caught 50 pounds on? Why can't I do it? You got to put the time on the water. You got to really learn what you're looking at, what you're doing, and that just goes with anything. So
What type of cadence you want to use, cat or jigging and all that stuff.
exactly, watching them on your sonar as far as how they react to a bait that you do throw at them. They want nothing to do with it, to where all of a sudden, all right, maybe they did move or they reacted differently. Like, change it up.
Right, right. So, like with that sonar technology, with this muddy water, does that have any sort of? I am not new. I don't deal with it. I've never been on, other than I was with Brett Walzer. But how does that really react with like really muddy water that we're dealing with all this rain and stuff? Does that do anything or no?
No, you'll still the biggest issue that you're going to have, and that was kind of my question yesterday. The couple of guys was, guys were throwing hair. Hair's become a popular thing in Winnebago, where guys are getting after it, and it's very successful. It works good. I'm more of the old school kind of bagos, a little bit dirtier. So I like going more towards like a blade bait, or even a crawler where there's some scent on it, compared to just throwing hair where you're kind of depending the fish being in the area to see it. As far as your sonar goes and everything now, just like your 2D sonar, I mean, it works perfectly fine. It's just you got to be able to present that bait or that lure to that fish. That fish can actually see it and react to it. So that's kind of the biggest thing there. That's kind of even like today, like I was saying about Poigan. Like I personally didn't like the way that it looked, and it was too dirty for my likings. But if anyone's ever experienced Lake Erie, you're pulling these big bandits and you're trolling walleyes in suspended water. You're marking them. They're all over the graph and they won't eat because the water's too dirty, but you can see the clean water coming. It seriously takes just that water to come on in and change that tone just a little bit, and all of a sudden those fish go AWOL and you can't keep them off. To where kind of the same thing as far as when dirtier water.
What type of are your go-to trolling baits that you like to use? I don't know how specific you really want to get with that, but just like, what's your preferred method that you like to go back to, comfortable method that you like to use?
You know what? I mean, it started back with the flicker it was actually the Shad Rap. Those Shad Raps 5s and 7s. That was kind of basically what everyone that got into trolling started using. Then Berkeley came out with the flicker shads and the flicker minnows, and the hit sticks, and it's just continued to go as far as on that aspect. My go-to, I mean, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a flicker minnow, number 7, number 9. That's where I've got the most confidence. I've actually just teamed up with Walleye X. They've got some great baits out there. I actually just made a post on it, or shared a post on it. They've got some X shads. It's a very similar style bait, no different than a shad wrap or flicker shad, and it's got its own action to it. So no different than going from a husky jerk to a reef runner or whatnot. That's big, long profile bait, or that's probably a bad example. It'd be a husky jerk and like a flicker minnow number 11 would be more comparable. But they've got different wobble, they've got different weights. How they work in the water. This Walleye X, they've got a lot of great colors out there. I've got actually a bunch of baits. I'm waiting for my musician to drop off as far as doing some painting for me. I've got some ready to rock and roll for tomorrow, so I'm actually excited about that. Actually, when I'm done this, I had to run and pick them up.
Nice.
911 phone call 2 days ago. I needed some baits painted, and Frank at Viper Tackle, that guy, he can do it all. Does a phenomenal job, and I'll actually be showing some colors and stuff that he's painted after these 2 tournaments are done here. Actually 3. It goes this one here, MWC. Then we got a Sheboygan Walleye Club on Sunday, and then actually I believe I'm gonna get into Timber National. I'm on the fence on that, but I think I'm gonna sign up for that as well. So.
All right, so let's go back to your tournaments that you've done this year. Can you talk a little bit about your success, what you've done, how you placed, and all that stuff? If you want to, I mean, it's up to you. But I find it rather intriguing how well you're doing this year. It's pretty.
It's fun to. It's kind of the reason we kind of got into the MWC with it just being in the backyard. You have to get into it, especially as well as we've been doing. This isn't just me. It's a team effort. I've been fishing with my buddy Mark Hippis, who's new to walleye fishing as far as just getting into it. He bought a boat last year. The guy's a phenomenal salmon thrower. That's what that guy does. And he's taken his salmon expertise, which that guy is probably one of the best, if not the best, on Lake Michigan. And he's bought it now over to Winnebago in the Bay. And that guy is not missing a beat. He is putting in hours. He's putting in his time, and he's put us on some awesome bites. So, I'm not the guy that wants to take credit where credit's not due, but Mark's done a phenomenal job.
Nice.
And putting us into it. So I'm looking forward to the remainder of the season and years forward coming. It's he's just green and he wants to learn. So, kind of even as we were talking earlier, just tactics and things, I'm learning from him as far as from the salmon aspect, why he's doing things for walleye that he's doing. And it's like, I never even thought about that. So I think we're both kind of rubbing off on each other and working well. So that's kind of why we jumped in this tournament. But to get back, the season started off with I was actually going to fish and sign up for the head-to-head, which I was excited to do. I asked Nikki if she wanted to do it, and she was between she's working it down in Madison, then she ended up working in Red Granite for a while. Now she's working at Oshkosh Mental Health there. So she was between jobs, so she wasn't able to commit. So she's like, why don't you fish with Mike? So Mike Lewis and I signed up, another fishing guide up on the Bay of Green Bay and also down here on Bago. And great buddy of mine, and we just have a ton of fun. But we've had a lot of fun with this H2H. We had a slow start. We're on the 5th event now with that. We just had the last 2 on Lake Winnebago, which we've won. Otherwise, we lost the first 3 events. I fished one by myself up on the Bay of Green Bay, or Fox River. With actually Mark was my partner, and it was a slow going. Like I had a great pre-fish the day before, and I kind of just ground out the fish. It's different because we can actually see what the other people are doing as far as their weights. So that kind of plays a major role as far as the decisions that we make and what we want to do. And knowing that we were kind of grinding out fish, and I was there later in the day that I was waiting for those fish to turn on, seeing the guys I was fishing against weren't doing so well. So I got burned by it. They ended up making the right adjustments. Those guys beat us that tournament. The next one was out on the Bay. Mike and I were on a great bite. And the fish, you know what? They moved up a little bit. We didn't find them. We got too late in the day, and we lost those. But the last 2 we've led where we've won. We've done a good job with that. I think we're now in 6th place for a head-to-head, and that there goes for the top 8 teams make the playoff, and then it goes 2 playoffs and a championship. So we're looking forward to that. Got another event in 2 weeks. Hopefully we can get another win on Lake Winnebago and kind of keep going with that. The other series we've been doing is the Sheboygan Walleye Club. We've got, as I said, we've got one on Winnebago coming up on Sunday. So kind of piggyback off this one here would be easy to do.
Right.
The first event was up on Marinette. And Nikki and I went up, pre-fished with a couple of buddies of mine. They don't want their names said, but most of you guys know who they are. We went out and we had just a blast pre-fish and just smiling and laughing the whole time. And I told Nikki, I said, if we can get there and these fish eat, we're gonna kick some ass. And
kicking ass.
The wind was perfect. It was the perfect storm. Like everything came together. We were up in Michigan, and the other key thing that I think played a major factor into this is there hasn't been any other tournaments like there normally is, like with the Green Bay Walleye Series and other events that are normally up that way. So normally there's a lot of boats up there beating on these fish. So these fish were virgins. They haven't seen a lot of baits, and they were hungry. We ended up putting over 60 pounds of fish on the card. We had 8 over 30. Our smallest fish was 30 that we weighed. And I think we had it back on the rack like an hour and a half before the tournament was even over, because I'm like, we anchored it down with like a 32 and a quarter. I'm like, we're good. Like, yeah, we're good. Which is I was informed it is a Sheboygan Walleye Club record with the heaviest weight they've ever had in a tournament. So that's cool to have that, and excited for their event on Sunday. And then Jeff and I, my old fishing partner there, we fished the Winnebago Walleye Series. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. They fired up and they had a couple openings, sent the guys over there a message, and they got us into it. Part that sucks about it is they do such a good job with that series that guys didn't. No one's leaving it or whatnot. So I've been on the waiting list for, like I said, like 3 or 4 years. Finally got the phone call that we're able to get into it in February. So Mark and I signed up. Again, Nikki wasn't able to, just with her weekends and everything she's got going on. So called Mark, I'm like, dude, let's do this. So it worked out for us. And like I said, Mark's been putting the work in. And we've got 11th place the first tournament, and we just took second the last one last weekend. Mark had something figured out for that last one that it was dynamite. I'm actually kind of hoping that we can kind of piggyback off that for tomorrow. Biggest thing's going to be wind is what we're going to need to make it go. If not, it is what it is. But the first tournament, I mean, it was 1:30 and we didn't have a fish, and we drove all over the lake. We were up in the river. We were on the south end. We were on the north end. And, it came to a spot where I'm like, dude, we got to try something here. And he's like, oh, let's just grind this out. I'm like, there's nothing to grind out. Like, it's dead. I'm like, let's make a run. And anyone that knows that day, those waves on Bago were huge. I'm like, we got to make a run. I need a pass here. I'm like, if we can get there, and if they're there, I'm like, I'll put 5 in the box and I'm going to do it really fast. And it was game on. We had to be back in at 3:30. We got to the reef. We got set up, and it was like almost 1:45. We were back in with a couple minutes to spare, and we had our 5 fish. It's all we caught. But we didn't get to play or pick on them at all. We didn't have any time for that. It was good enough to take 11th to where, we were less than a pound out of the top 5. Nice. So I feel if we would have went there right away, or we would have put any pre-fishing effort or time into Winnebago with the weather, I think we would have probably done a lot better. But, that just comes with time on the water and not giving up, and then also just having that confidence that we can get it done. So
right.
It worked out.
We got a question here. This fellow here is staying in Winnebago this weekend. Said he actually watching you guys out on the river right now. Voted a couple white bass so far, and he tipped on what type of structure to look for some walleye. So if you just kind of want to piggyback what you kind of discussed earlier.
I didn't like what I seen when I went through there. I talked to a couple of buddies that were actually fishing in there. I think the big thing, especially in Winnebago right now, is it's an actually east wind, or at least it was when I was there today. What that east wind does is that east wind does back up the current in there, or it slows it down. So the best way to probably catch fish in there is going to be dragging jigs. You can pull flat lines with, number 7, number 5, flicker shats, flicker minnows. And you can pull those up the current nice and slow. There's no snags in there, so that's kind of nice. You can throw a jig off the dock. But with that current not flowing right, that's not my style of fishing. So what I like to do is I'd go out on Clark's and go back in those bays and work those rock points where you can throw a jig in a crawler, a slip bobber, and try to look on your live scope, use your side scan where you can see those fish laying in there, if that's an option. Otherwise, the canes. Like, the canes are just starting to fire up. The canes are the right color. They've got the oxygen in them. It's only going to get better. And kind of as I was saying with the color of the water, they might be a little lethargic yet, but those fish are going to fire any day here. I did know some guys that were actually fishing them and were catching fish in them. Nice fish too. But, you got to make sure in the right cane bed, fish in the right side of it, the right pocket. But no, those fish are in Winnebago. I think they're just being finicky because those fish are programmed to face a certain way or do certain things. And when that current does not flow the way they want it to, they will not eat. They just are that way. I've been burned numerous times in tournaments from Jeff and I were in a national team championship. That was our go-to spot. And we sat there all day, and we ended up running up to the Wolf River right at the mouth to drag jigs there because that was our secondary spot. And when we came back, the guys told us, we weren't even on the pier line. And the fish fired. They fired for a half hour. Everyone that was there, that was in the top, they all got their fish, and we didn't get our fish, and we dropped. So kind of sucked, but little bite windows when you get these kind of winds or when that current finally releases, then those fish will get back onto being normal and start eating again. But as far as water temp, I believe I think it was 65 degrees as I was going through the river there today. When I went underneath the bridge, I actually noticed. So I think it's down probably, 5-6 degrees from where it was, but that won't take long. I would think by the end of the weekend here with the temperatures we got, that those fish are going to fire back up and the temperatures will probably be right back where they normally were.
With no rain, finally.
Finally, we don't need it. I mean, the river's like almost at flood stage or at flood stage. It's right there.
Yeah.
So
I don't see too many fields that are not underneath water that are running through rivers.
Actually, I'm looking out the window right now at the farm field in front of my house, and the thing is just covered in water. So I'm actually thinking about launching the boat and maybe going for a little moonlighting or something before the tournament tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if anybody wants to collect some night crawlers, it'd be a great night to do it.
It would. It would.
So you don't have to spend all that extra money getting bait. You can do it in your backyard.
I thought it was cool. There was some guy posted today online that his kids were selling night crawlers for $2 a dozen. So it's like, that's a screaming deal. And those kids were having a blast playing with crawlers. Yeah. Like, nice little side job. People are too lazy. They don't go walk golf courses anymore like we used to at nighttime.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, I don't know if that's a lost art just like kids just not do that anymore. Because I know, like, when I go camping or I have my son, we do that. Like, that was like one of the great fond memories of growing up with my dad. Like, going out after a rainstorm or going out there and sprinkling the lawn down and collecting the night crawlers. I don't know, it's neat.
I thought it was the cat's ass when my brother came home. He had the little rod with the battery. He puts in the ground, shocks them. They just all come up. So he's walk around and pick them. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. I mean, cheating, but I was like, this was fun.
Yeah, I've seen some YouTubes on that. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that completely, but I mean, it's fun either way. You're getting out there and doing that. So,
right.
Yeah. All right. So, trying to think off the top of my head, what do you want to discuss about any particular? Like, to me, when I fish, do you like to fish sun up? Do you like clouds, or you just strictly just pay attention to wind?
Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. On weekends, I'd honestly prefer to either get out there at the ass crack of dawn before the sun comes up. That way you get a spot at the boat launch. Or I'd rather get out there like 9, 10 o'clock. That way that first wave of people are back. So that way I get a nice front row parking spot so I don't have to walk so far. But honestly, it doesn't matter to me. As long as the bugs are out. Bugs suck. Yeah. But no, like, it don't matter. I mean, today I got fried from the sun. I didn't plan on doing quite the exploring that I did earlier, but it kind of worked out. And like I said, I learned a bunch, but to the lady's question, that's, in Winnebago there, those fish are, when the sun starts getting a little bit lower, you'll watch the action on that bridge heat up, and those fish kind of move in a little bit more too. So, or that sun gets over that sun starts to set over Lake Poygan there, where the fish on Clarks, they move up in the shallows, they move up on the rocks, and take advantage of like those type of bites or those type of windows. But otherwise during the daytime, it don't matter.
Do you think there's gonna, with all the boat traffic that is going to be out there this weekend, do you think that's going to affect anything at all?
It will a little bit. I mean, the biggest thing is you're gonna have all the fishermen just wanting to get out with their families this weekend because it's gonna finally be nice out. So you got guys and people that don't necessarily think when they do drive over a fish, they're going to drive over a spot that you're fishing and maybe blow the fish off of that. They don't even know you're fishing. I'm always very cautious about when I finish a pass, or if I'm going to drift and make a jig pass, I don't drive over my fish. So for those guys are fishing rock piles and stuff, shallower. I think with the amount of traffic that's going to be on it, and weekend warriors and people driving their boats and the pleasure boaters, I think that, and I've even seen it through just guiding. I mean, during the week, my results with clients during the week are a lot higher, a lot more successful than it is on the weekend, just because you have the whole place to yourself.
Right.
So that definitely will play a little bit of a factor, but the other thing's going to be is just there's so many people out there this weekend. I mean, it's almost be like a mini Merck National tournament with all the spots. I mean, that's kind of like today. I had a couple spots I wanted to check on my way back, and I didn't even check them because there was boats on them. I didn't want to stop and one, catch a fish there, so I have to think about going back there, and two, I just didn't want to have to see someone see me in there, give away a rock pile or give away something to where it's like, I'll just wait for later.
Yeah. Yep. Kind of like the same thing. I mean, I don't want to like compare, but like when it comes to hunting, I'm a really avid hunter. I love spending the majority of my time scouting and all that stuff for hunting, and kind of the same thing. Like if I see people in an area that I know is going to produce pretty decent for me, there's no reason for me to step foot in there because I mean, you're just gonna booger up the place or screw up something for them. And I'm like, no, it's not even worth it because I know what it holds and what it can hold. It's no point for me to try to screw that spot. So
right. No, it's I've done a lot of out of state hunting from Iowa out west, elk hunting, and it's different how people out in other areas respect. There's a lot more respect. There's a lot less hunters out there as well. Areas compared to, going to Dale, or not Dale, but like Shiocton or whatnot, where it's a popular public area where you've got all the locals there. You got people that are driving from the city because that's the closest public land. Where you have so many people in these woods, that's a great way to put it. That's kind of going to be what I think fishing is going to be like this weekend, kind of just hopping around. And that's a great way to probably describe it, though, especially for someone that doesn't fish as much.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to get out and fish more often, but I just have a 6-month-old at home, and we're in the process of moving to Tilton, so it's kind of like I try to balance my deck as great as possible. But, happy wife, happy life, right? Is that what they say?
That's how that goes.
Yeah. But is anything else you'd like to chat about, or little techniques?
No, I mean, if anyone's got any questions or whatnot, I'll do a recap after Merck National here, or this weekend after the tournaments we've got, just kind of talk about what we were doing, what we were looking for, what we were kind of targeting. I mean, that was like I kind of said, a hard thing yesterday as far as just our H2H. I know when we were talking about it, I had other spots we could have probably went and probably could have done better, but with all the people on the lake that are watching just to see where we were or what we were doing, like I wasn't going to give anything away. So, kind of kept it simple. Hopefully the lack of us not fishing or fishing hard or taking that time to learn or try stuff doesn't hurt us this weekend, but that's the risk I'm willing to take.
Right. All right. Well, if any of you like to get on the page and make sure that we have that giveaway coming up next week. Ryan is going to be involved in this. He's going to be doing a heavily discounted full day guided trip, correct? For half price.
Yep.
All right.
I've also got because I've got a group of guys that do like to take advantage of. I do throw some specials as far as if guys want to get out and do some pre-fishing. Normally 1 or 2 guys that do jump in with me. Get to go check some spots, check some stuff out, learn some stuff, and catch some fish while doing it. Have a good time. I've got that. Got a couple dates still available for that. Otherwise, do have trips available for On the Bay of Green Bay, Lake Winnebago, and then also we ran them last year. We're going to be doing it again this year. I'm probably going to go out there even longer this year. The Fall Brawl. I love Lake Erie. Lake Erie is a fun body of water that I enjoy fishing. I know everyone's probably heard about the guys that put weights in fish and everything else. Well, they've got their tournament out there where you can win a boat. All you do is catch the biggest walleye. It goes from like the middle of October till like the first weekend in December. And you go out there. We have a great time catching fish. You just get your tickets for the brawl. And we go out there. We bring the kids out there brawling. They come out and have fun. But it's just a good time to get out and catch a lot of nice fish, catch a lot of trophy fish. And if you guys want to come out and do that as well, come stay with us at the hotel that we do. And that'll be the end of my open water season until we get into airboats. Vince and I and Josh will be back on the Mississippi. Vince and Josh both live out there, all backwaters perch trips. So if you've never done that before, definitely recommend booking a trip. I've got that on my page or on Vince's page as well. We'll start advertising for that for prime dates and stuff. But hopefully, I mean, I'm ready for ice, seeing how short our season was last year. We ended up getting saved by sturgeon spearing. I've got shacks I rent out here every year, but because our perch fishing was done, Josh and Vince came on over. They bought hubs out, and we were able to get a ton of people on the lake last year out safely to their spot. The hubs worked awesome. We had a perfect setup. We had everything for everyone to get out, and they actually enjoyed just the airboat ride too. You know, had a lot of people pissed off because they didn't like how loud it was, but you know, can't make everyone happy. Loud pipes save lives, right?
Yeah, no, I remember that whole ordeal. That was quite entertaining.
Oh, that was awesome. My phone's still ringing about it, but that was the best part. You know, people talk, the more your phone rings.
That's exactly how it happens. Yeah, that's how it works for sure.
That was kind of how you and I got hooked up and started talking and everything. So it worked out good. Now look at us.
Yeah. I hope this continues to grow, and I will have those links if you share them with me. I'll put that in the description of the video too when I'm done with this, with all your webpage and all that stuff too, so I can help share that information for you out for your airboats and all that, your Mississippi trips and stuff.
Definitely, but I mean, otherwise you do a phenomenal job with the fishing reports as far as the other guides that help out. I mean, also Corey from Fish Tales and Bill from Rip and Lips. I mean, guys do a lot of they get a lot of information from all the anglers, and they got great shops. I'm gonna have to stop and see Corey in the morning. I need to pick up a couple items, but you know, these guys do an awesome job just kind of giving out little details. So, you know, any way you guys can support them, so they're big corporate stores, definitely get in there, tell them thanks, you know, locally.
Yeah, it helps out a long way with everybody that it's just, I'm just really, my main focus about this is just trying to create a bigger community, fishing community, a friendly community, if we'll all get to be able to enjoy, you know, Lake Winnebago and the surrounding lakes, and just kind of I don't know, have each other's back, and instead of being at each other's back, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
there's always drama when it comes to fishing, so
yep,
it's always something. It's easier just to turn your eye and just go fish and have fun.
Yep.
And if anyone's got any questions too, you know, either can message me, and we can answer them later as well, or I'll get them in my weekly fishing report or whatnot, and we'll go from there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, wonderful. Well, we almost been on here for close to approaching an hour here, so I appreciate your time, Ryan, and good luck this weekend. And I like to say keep me updated, but you have too much crap on your plate, so don't even worry about it. I'll just keep my eye on if they put any results up or anything like that. So
tomorrow we are third flight, so we come in tomorrow, I believe 3:30, Menominee Park. If anyone's out and about, want to check it out, they've got the stage. Otherwise, you guys can tune in also to the live leaderboard. They have that live to watch. Wayne. Otherwise, come out and bring the family, check it out. I know people always bring coolers and stuff. They're always drinking beer and hanging out. So if you've never seen it, I believe they've got their kids' fishery as well too. Normally, I believe on Sunday they do a fishery for the kids. So
nice.
Stop on by, check it out, say hi.
I just want to throw a quick shout out to Brett. He is having some boat issues today. Brett Walzer. So hopefully he gets that all situated so he can participate in the tournament this weekend as well.
No, that's just Brett playing possum.
Yeah, probably.
That guy is one hell of a fisherman and a stick on here. If If he's not in his boat, he'll definitely have a boat to be in. So
Yeah. Well, there'll be a canoe. He'll be out there.
he'll be out there. I don't care if he's in a kayak. That guy will be out there. Trust me.
All right. Wonderful. All right, man. You take care, and we'll speak soon.
All right. Sounds good, bud. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. We'll see you.